In this video, I will tell you the difference between authorizing a charge, capturing or charging a charge, and manually charging a charge. Let me open authorize.net and show you what options they have on their virtual terminal. There are several options that you can use to charge your customer. Authorize and capture, authorize only, and capture only. What authorize means is when your customer puts a credit card through your website or you put it manually and you try to charge it. Authorize means you will go and ask the bank, do they have the funds available on that credit card? Does the address verification system match with a billing address of the cardholder? It's not going to physically take the money and put it in your bank account. It will withdraw the money from the customer's bank account, but it will put it on hold and the bank will be holding it on reserve for you. The bank holds it from anywhere from 10 to 30 days after you do the initial authorization. After the 10 to 30 days, they're going to expire that authorization and it will no longer be able to be used. Capture only means that if you authorize the charge from before and now you want to take the money and put it in your own bank account, you can say capture only, put in the credit card number, expiration date, the amount, and what the authorization code is. So an authorization code is required in order for you to capture the funds, or in other words, charge the funds. So there's two ways of charging the customer. You can authorize the charge from the customer and then physically charge it later, or you can authorize and charge it right away, which is authorize and capture. And if you authorize it later, you can capture it later as well. So going back to shopping cart lead settings, when you first set up your store, your settings will be set at authorize only for domestic orders and authorize only for international orders. The reason why it says authorize only is because Visa and MasterCard guidelines want you to reserve the money but not charge the money until you ship the product, the customer receives it, and then you can capture the fund. Now a lot of times when we first start up a business, we can't afford to do that because the supplier needs to get paid for the item before the item ships, which means the customer will order the item from you, you're going to authorize the funds, but you have to use your personal funds either from your credit card or from your bank account to order the item, ship the item, obviously pay the supplier, and then you will take the money later. And by the time you capture the money, which in other words charge the money from the customer, which might be under the authorization, 1 to 2 weeks will pass by and you need to have that cash flow. So a lot of new companies that just start up, they say charge the orders automatically whenever the customer wants to buy something, and if anything, I'll refund them later. Now that's not a problem, but do keep in mind that if you're going to charge the orders and then you have to cancel them because the supplier can't get the item for whatever reason, your refund rate is going to grow every month. Now, credit card companies do not like when you refund customers. In fact, they have a threshold which you have to be under, which is approximately 1 to 3%, which means if you charged $1,000 worth of orders in the first month, and then the next month you refunded $100 worth of orders, you would be at a 10% return ratio. Now, $1,000 might not be a lot, but for example, if you're at $10,000 in revenue and you refund over $300, you're at 3%. Now, if you refund $1,000, you're at 10%, which is going to red flag your account with a credit card company. And what might happen is they might freeze some of your funds, if not all of the funds, for X amount of days. It is legal. They can freeze up your funds from anywhere from 90 to 180 days, and you will have to have a backup plan on how you're going to fulfill those orders without having that money from the bank. So the best advice I can give you is, if you want to play it risky, you can leave domestic orders as charge and charge all the orders that come through if you're confident that your suppliers will deliver the orders. If you're not confident, what you can do is you can authorize all the orders, verify that the supplier has the item in stock, and if they do, then you would settle the order before invoicing it to the supplier. So what would happen is you would authorize the order, which means you would check with a bank. If the money is on your customer's credit card, you would check the address verification system. It's all done through this authorize only. And then once you verify that the supplier has the product in stock, then you would settle it from the customer's account. So to give you a demonstration on how that would work, if you want to charge somebody's card, you can do it through their account or through the order. So I'm going to do it once from the account. You would say, charge this card, you would put the CVV number in, and then you can say authorize only. And you can say $10 or whatever the amount is. Once you authorize that charge, and you want to settle it, you would just go to charges, refresh it, and then there's a settle charge button right here. If it says total amount $149 and settle amount 0, which means you haven't settled that charge, Transaction ID, if it's valid, it has some numbers. Authorization ID is what you need in order to capture the funds. And if it's 0, that means you can settle it. You just say settle charge, and it's going to settle the charge for you. If you don't have an authorization ID number, that means that you can't charge that credit card. So if the credit card gets declined, you will never have an authorization ID number. If a credit card gets declined, but you have an authorization ID number, that means that there is money on your customer's credit card, but the AVS might have mismatched or failed. So if you try to charge your customer's credit card and it tells you declined, it's most likely going to give you a reason, which is the notes here. It tells you address, street, and 5-digit zip code match. If it didn't match, it's going to tell you that address didn't match, or zip code didn't match, or something else didn't match. So if something did not match, you're going to have an authorization ID number, you're going to have a message saying that something didn't match, and you will have the decision if you want to settle that charge or not. So you can do an authorization through the account as I showed you earlier, or you can process the order, and you will have a choice between authorizing a charge or capturing a charge. Now you don't have to worry to keep track of who you authorized and who you captured. Whenever an order gets a tracking number, it automatically captures a fund if it had an authorization on it and did not capture. Or on the order assignment screen, where you invoice the orders to your suppliers, once you invoice the order, you will have an option to capture that order if it has an authorization only. But do make sure that if you have an authorization only, to check up on the orders, at least for the first few that you process, to make sure that they charge. You definitely don't want to leave an authorization only on the customer, deliver the product, and never get paid for that product.